John Harbaugh on Sunday again made the decision that gave his team the best chance to win. I know you guys talked about this a little bit in the reaction pod. I know people are saying, what are you talking about, Sheil? Did you see what happened in that game? And I see it. For those who don't know, quick recap, 4:15 left in the fourth quarter. Game tied at 20. Ravens have a 4th and goal from the Bills' 2-yard line. Harbaugh goes for it. Lamar Jackson throws an interception. The Bills drive the length of the field, kick the game-winning field goal. Harbaugh gets crushed for relying on analytics too much. We've seen this story play out over the past couple of years, and it's probably too on brand for me to be picking this as one of my things. I feel like I've written about it at length over the years, but I think there's 2 things that we miss when we have these kinds of discussions. And number one is that coaches too often make decisions that delay losing rather than optimizing chances for winning. You know, if this were a situation where John Harbaugh would have just kicked the field goal and then the Bills drive and score a TD, nobody's crushing John Harbaugh. Everyone's saying, all right, he did the traditional thing, even though the data would probably suggest that he didn't do the thing that optimizes winning, but he does it in an untraditional way, in a very well thought out way. And so I think that's one thing that we have to keep in mind. And then the other thing is we have to judge these decisions based on the information we have at the time they are made. You can't, I mean, you don't, like, if they would have gone for it and made it, guess what? Phil Simms, Boomer Esiason, I don't even know who was on CBS after. No one's saying, oh, wow, great, great call by John Harbaugh there. And so it's like sometimes in the national scope, they wait for something to fail and then they rip it. So this instance in particular, what I like about Harbaugh is he explains these decisions, whether they work or whether they didn't work. And so what information did he have at the time of his decision? Well, the Bills had just gone up and down the field on 3 of their previous 4 drives. He knew that if he kicked the field goal and the Bills scored a touchdown, he's losing the game. And he knows the win probability when an opponent is down 3 or an opponent is down 7. And you're saying, Sheil, what are you talking about? He's making that decision on the fly. The Ravens have an analytical model. They work through all this stuff beforehand. They have meetings during the week where they're planning for situations just like this. And some of the numbers would probably surprise our listeners. Mike McRoberts, who works for Championship Analytics, I asked him to, pass over some of the data that he has. And it's not like complicated algorithms. It's just looking at this exact situation that Harbaugh was in, and then the team takes over. When a team takes over like the Bills and they're down by 3 with about 4 minutes left, they've won the game 41% of the time. When they're in that same situation and they're down 7, they've won the game just 16% of the time. So this is like a big difference. So it's a risk reward calculation. These decisions are not easy. There's no simple answer. And what Harbaugh said after the game just really sticks with me. I was making the decision that I thought gave our team the best chance to win. He was doing that using data, using analytical models, using what he thought about his players, all those things. And you have to make a decision that, it might be a 50-50 decision and the coach has to make the call. So I just feel like Ravens fans right now are probably like, shoot, we've lost these 2 games this year. We've blown it in the fourth quarter. Don't get me wrong. There are concerns there. But in terms of his decisions, I think Harbaugh over the long run has proven that he is going to give you an edge. I think he's the best in the NFL with his in-game decision-making because it's so well thought out. And I think he's going to continue to give them an edge in the future. Yeah. Was I too confusing? Did I go on too long?
No, it's so... what it always boils down to for me is this. I got poison ivy 2 weeks ago. We all know this. We all broke this down. We all made jokes about it. It was great.
Yeah.
What was my mistake? Was it while I was pulling out the poison ivy, I didn't have I didn't check to make sure my sleeve was tucked into my glove, and then the poison ivy leaf ripped across the sleeve and it traced a line on my arm, and that was where the oil got, and I didn't immediately wash? Or was it assuming for a second that I was enough of a capable person to remove poison ivy in the first place and even showing up to the building? It feels like the second one. Or excuse me, it feels like the first one. It feels like that later moment when I'm there pulling out the poison ivy and I make the error in execution. In reality, the first error, the far more egregious error, was not just hiring a man to bring a goat and the goat to eat the poison ivy, and then we never would have to deal with this problem, which is a thing you can do that I learned.
Wait, is that a thing?
Yes, you hire goat people.
What?
And they bring their goats and like whenever you want to like do like massive amounts of landscaping, because goats just eat everything. So like, oh, you don't want to deal with like rototilling an old garden bed and like pulling up all the old weeds? Goat. You just hire a man, he brings a goat for 3 hours, the goat eats everything, and then you're done. It's amazing. And then goat poop
Let me
is
be
fertilizer.
clear here.
It's genius.
You could be totally making this up, and I would have no idea.
Google it.
I believe you. No, I believe you, because it would almost be too far-fetched to make up. But that I think you're right.
Correct.
Yeah, that self-awareness. Wait, how does that relate to the Ravens again?
Yes, you gotta let me finish.
The
You gotta tie
goats
up on
threw
the
me
goats.
off. Yeah.
Right. What a tremendous luxury. What a wonderful thing to have the reason you're losing games be that your head coach in a one-score game in the fourth quarter against good opponents is making aggressive decisions. You know why the Panthers are losing games? Because Matt Rule doesn't know how the NFL works. You know why the Cardinals are losing games? Because Cliff Kingsbury doesn't know how to get personnel on the field. You know why the Rams lost to the 49ers? Because Sean McVay watched Allen Robinson highlights from 2015 and thought he could play X in the NFL in 2022. Let's go. Name any team. You want to know why the Raiders are losing games? Do you want to know why the Saints are losing games? So many coaches make so many horrendous decisions Sunday to Saturday, Monday to Friday, game preparation, offseason. In March, they're losing 3 games for their team because they're wrong personnel movements, the general manager, ownership's getting involved. The myriad of ways that NFL teams have discovered to lose games for the dumbest freaking reasons. It's too vast to contemplate. The easiest things are left on the bone. Oh, and we get up on Monday morning and we talk about should John Harbaugh have gone for 7 instead of 3? Because it's right there. It's right in front of us. It's right now. It feels like a thing we can control. It's evident. It's in our scope. It is. John Harbaugh is one of the 5 best coaches in the league. John Harbaugh was going for 2-point conversions last year with Tyler Huntley against the Packers, went for it against the Steelers, didn't get either one of them. And not for a moment did anybody in Baltimore go, we should change the way this guy coaches. We should think about getting a different head coach in here. He'll be the head coach in Baltimore for the next 10 years if he wants to be. It is just because it's right there and in front of us that we think we have to debate it and talk about it. What we should be talking about is these other head coaches who will never hold a candle to what John Harbaugh does January to December, 52 weeks of the year in terms of coaching the Ravens to be a consistent, contending, winning team in the NFL, period.
Yeah, that was well said. And it's again, I have to emphasize, it's a thought out process. It's not always going to work out, but over the long run, I think it's going to give them an edge.